I think I'll begin by saying everything changes. You have changed. If you don't believe me, ask people who know you whether you have changed in the last 10 years. You have changed physically, and most likely, a couple of your values have changed. I mean, the weather changes. The way we communicate has changed. If you are my age, when we were in high school, we didn't have a phone. Everything changes. There is an old saying, which all of you know, the only constant thing in life is change. So I'll answer these 3 questions. Why should businesses change? Number 2, what do I need to change? And number 3, how do I manage change? So my first question this morning, why should businesses change? Allow me just to share 5 simple reasons why businesses should change. I hope to convince you through these 5 reasons why you should develop an appetite for continuous change, why you should never ever remain the same in your business. And I want to give you 5 reasons why change should be a continuous process, a going concern. Number 1, for survival. What that means is that if you do not change, your business is likely to die. Would you remember this, guys? Do I have an age mate in the house? Do I have people who lived at a time we used to use this telephone? No, we have some kids like Nyabura in the house who grew up in the days of mobile phone. Are there people who grew up when we used to have this type of a phone? And Jage, Ruth Munyao, wow, I have witnesses in the house. Very many. Anyway, you need change, number 1, for survival. Number 2, policies. Let me give you an example about policies. Now, where I live, we have a lot of Tesla cars. Tesla was started by a guy by the name, anyone? Who is the brain behind Tesla? Elon Musk. Fantastic. Now we have a lot of cars here, Tesla cars. I'm not sure whether are they in Kenya yet? Do you have them yet? Do you have this? Okay. We have a lot of cars, and by the way, by the grace of God, I bought an electric car the other day. So we have cars that are not using fuel at all where we are staying, and a lot of my neighbors have them. Now, the reason Elon Musk was able to do this business and become the richest man in the world, by the way, he's the richest man in the world because of Tesla. It is not because of SpaceX. It is the car. It's one policy that has made this guy to do this well, climate change. Because now we are talking about green energy. So in fact, in Norway, they have already done a policy. By 2030, no gasoline cars, no petrol, no diesel car will be allowed in Norway by 2030. By 2030. Now, Tesla cars are rechargeable. So some people already have these chargers in their homes. I don't. So other people have to charge them in supermarkets like Costco's. So green energy is the way to go. And what's going on is that I have just picked one policy this morning, climate change. It is redefining business. Now, because of Tesla complying with climate change, almost every motor vehicle industry in Europe, in North America, in Australia, New Zealand, they have started producing solar cars. Almost every motor vehicle industry, including Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, name it, they are all now also doing solar cars. Only that most of them are doing both the solar and the gasoline. But Tesla is doing 100% solar cars. When this guy started this company way back 2014, he was clearly ahead of his time. He lived ahead of his time, but he was able to see one day climate change will be implemented and it will be compulsory. I tell you the truth. This is maybe not weather. One day, even in Kenya, some of you listening to me from different countries, solar cars will be compulsory. It's not a question of whether, it's a question of when. Then whaling and fishing is an industry that is going to be affected a lot, because now people who are whaling, catching whales, are getting arrested. They are getting arrested. So policies force us to change. Number 3, Growth. Growth forces us to change. Let me give you 3 examples. We have Java House. Now, Java started as Nairobi Java House. Nairobi Coffee Java House. Then to Nairobi Java. Now it's only Java House. Actually, even the word Nairobi has been removed because it has gone to Kampala and Kigali, Rwanda. I knew Java when they had only 1 restaurant in Adams Arcade. Now they have 80 branches. 80 branches. So they were forced to change a couple of things in how they do management, because now it has become the largest and the most successful coffee franchise in Africa. I'm talking of an African-based restaurant chain. We have many restaurants in the US that are very huge. One of them is KFC, which is now in Kenya. KFC is in 145 countries. I didn't say 145 branches, 145 countries. It started in Kentucky, one of the states in the US. Right now they have 25,000 branches. 25,000 branches. Think about that. Number 4, why do organizations change? Relevance. Relevance. Now, can I ask you a question? I follow news. I follow what is going in Kenya every day. I can tell you exactly where the former Prime Minister Raila is. I can tell you exactly where the Deputy President Ruto is. I can tell you the exact hour Ruto and Mudavadi met in Bomas. I can tell you exactly what Gideon and Kalonzo Musyoka are doing together. How do I get to know? Anybody? How do I get to know these things? I can tell you exactly what the president is doing when he's going for Addis Ababa for the African meetings. How do I get to know these things? Exactly. Kastivuku, online news. Online news. Why? Because right now, I just used Citizen as an example. I am not holding brief for Citizen. What is true for Citizen is true for K24, it's true for NTV, it is true for KTN, it is true even for KBC, the traditional media house. So I was using Citizen as an example. But because they are live streaming, because they have YouTube, all of them right now, we get to see news as you see them in Kenya. We get to see them in real time. And by the way, as you know, news in social media reach even long before the mainstream media. So they realized if they don't release news very fast, the social media platform will have broken the news and it's no longer going to be news. Now, number 5, why do we need to change? For improvement, just for improvement. Apple moved beyond computers and expanding its product lines to Apple TV and its ever increasing, ever improving IP phones. The iPhones are the most popular in the US. That's what we use. This is the phone in the US. And I know some countries, Samsung does better than iPhone. And what they do, if you look at my phone, it has 3 cameras. Because what these guys do, and every about 6 months, they introduce new phones. A year later, your phone looks outdated. So they give you an offer. Then you trade back the old phone, they give you a new phone. That's why you find guys in the US always having a new phone. Always. So you'll find by next year, they'll have a new phone and they'll ask me for this phone. And if I refuse, 3, 4, 5 years later, this phone will not be able to operate. But iPhone, this is the first time they're having a phone with a flap. They had refused for so long. These types of flaps were only for Samsung. They are not yet in the market, these ones for iPhone. They are not yet in the market, but they actually want to release them because of competition from Samsung. Continuous improvement is not an option. I want to give you some quick reasons, 7 quick reasons why we need to change. Number 1, change in technology. When technology changes, we have to change. When technology changes, what do I need to change? You need to change the people. Either they adjust or you have to get rid of them. Either you have to teach the people the new technology, or you have to get new people. You have to change the processes. Ask Nyabura about KCB. They even had to upgrade the systems. From time to time, they had to bring new systems and processes, how you do business. Now, another thing that changes is competition. You can organize your business the best way you know how, but then competition changes. The rules are changed in the industry by your competitors. If competition changes, you need to change your strategy, your processes, and your products. Sometimes you need to change your products. But the most critical is your strategy and then your business processes, because they can have superior products, but you beat them in strategy. Sometimes policies change. And when policies change, you need to change in terms of the people. They need to know the new policies and compliance. If you don't comply with new policies within the industry or in the country, then you're going to close down shops. Then customer needs. Sometimes the needs of customers change. Let me see whether you can remember. What clothes were people wearing in the 70s? What clothes were people wearing in the 70s in Africa? And when customer needs keep changing, you have to change the products and the processes. And the process here means your internal processes and how the product reaches the customer. Now, Mercy and I, my wife and I, we buy most of our products through Amazon, including coffee, tea, hair products, beauty products. A couple of our clothes we buy through Amazon. They're delivered in our mailbox. And usually they deliver them in our house. When they have a big cargo, a big luggage, they actually deliver them. They knock the door of the house. That's what they do. So you realize the business process has fundamentally changed. Number 5, employee behavior. Sometimes employees change. Sometimes you're forced to fire them or educate them or train them or swap them. But either way, when employee behavior changes, because like the way Gen Y behaves is different from Gen X, different from Gen Z. So sometimes, how many have noticed a change with the students graduating from the university these days and the people who are graduating in the late 90s and the early 2000s? Do you find a difference between today's graduate and the guys who are graduating in the late 90s? Do you see any difference between these employees? David Makatiani, many greetings from DAP, Media Kakamega. Thank you very much, David. I think I can roughly remember your face. And Jagger says, yes, especially in their communication style. Yeah, and you realize they don't take jobs seriously. You can't return them that you're going to fire them. They don't care that much. Those threats that used to be there in the 90s don't work anymore. So the management style must change from the bossy attitude of the 90s to a team leader. The other thing that changes is environment. The business environment changes, the country changes, the industry changes. And when that happens, then you need to change your strategy. And sometimes you'll be forced to change your location. Number 7 and the last one, growth. Sometimes your business is forced to change by growth. You didn't plan for the change, but growth pushes you to the next level. What he's saying is true even in Nigeria. Managers are not relating with customers. But these days, managers are actually team players. Things have changed. But do you know sometimes your own business can force you to change? The business outgrows you. The business grows faster than you thought. Martin Okello. One time I was planning some meetings at Lillian Towers. Then the people who registered could not fit anywhere else except KICC. I had not planned to go to KICC. People registered in thousands and we didn't know where to take them. I mean, the whole thing went ahead of me. When I started public speaking career, this whole thing was getting way ahead of me, completely ahead of me. And I tell you the truth, because we have not promoted our Facebook page, it went ahead of me. It grew beyond me. Same thing with YouTube. When I started YouTube, I never thought there was money in YouTube. I never did it for money. I just wanted to help people. All my videos were free. They are still free to date, over 850 videos. But when I started, I had no idea that YouTube pays people. I had no idea. I had no idea Facebook pays people. Until recently, they started approaching me and saying they want to do campaigns on my page. I have found myself things going ahead of me. When I went to speak in the US the first time, London the first time, Europe, I had no clue. I had no clue that I would even ever go anywhere. So sometimes the business gets ahead of you. And when that happens, what do you need to do? Change the structure and change your strategy.